Something that really sticks in your mind.
No, that's a great question. There have been, and I'll segue into it. Early in my career, and I think a lot of teachers do this. I don't think it's unique to me. I started to keep thank you notes, cards, letters, whatever, and I kept a little file folder. When you get old and gray, you need a box because you're not that awesome. You've just been doing it a long time, so there's more. And I keep it because there's days you feel like a crap teacher, and then you go and revisit that, and you read some and you realize, oh, okay, nope, they said otherwise.
Right.
And that's the proof is in the pudding. Don't take my opinion.
Yeah.
Talk to kids who have had me, whether I've coached them, taught them, ceramics, whatever.
Hey, everybody. It is the Buffalo Community Podcast again for another exciting episode, and this is for episode 27. I can't believe we're already that far, but you know the drill.
This is the Buffalo Community Podcast, all about the greatest small town in the USA, the people in it, and how it all works together. Here are your hosts, Tyler Reiss and Mark Benzer.
All right, episode 26, is that what you said?
27.
27.
27.
Okay. So, should be in store for a really fun episode.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's a lot to live
It's
up
up to you.
Don't screw
It's up
it
to you,
up.
yeah.
Shoulders.
But, no, we have with us Buffalo High School art teacher, has been since 1995.
Not a has been, but have been, I hope.
Have been.
I know, you said it
You
correctly.
have, okay.
Apparently he's an English teacher, too.
No. Squadroni and Carrie can school me on that.
Father of two boys, Miles and Levi. Husband to Ning Ning. Thanks for coming in, Jon Holtz.
Thanks for having me. Stone cold honor.
Awesome. Stone cold honor.
I really got to get that applause.
You got to label those buttons.
You know, all of us having that. I had to get some wrestling reference in there. All three of us have some wrestling background.
Absolutely.
You guys actually had some wrestling talent.
Well, I didn't.
And now we're going to talk about that for the next hour.
Right.
Because it always seems to go into there.
So we talked a little bit before. I have no idea where to start. Certainly a lot of interesting things happening in education as a teacher and as a student and as an administrator. And I mean, just craziness. But I guess why don't, you went to school, you wanted to be an art teacher. You achieved that. Why don't you give us a little bit of your background and bring us current here?
Originally did not go for education. Even my senior year in high school, and I like to relate this to kids because culture likes to tell 18-year-olds you got to have it all figured out, and that couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, you don't know what's out there. You don't know what you don't know. So at 18, my senior year, honestly, I had every intention of. I knew there was this warehouse near my parents' place, and I'm like, oh, they drive forklifts in there. I'll go drive. That looks kind of cool. And I told that to I had a stroke of luck. Before it was Roseville High School, there was Kellogg and Ramsey, and we were adversaries. And I was a Kellogghian. My junior year, we merged. We still had East and West campus, so we were still in our own building, so nothing felt different other than we became the Roseville Raiders. Senior year, because declining enrollment, we get shipped over to this Ramsey place. New building, new teachers. I had a new art teacher. And my art teacher before that was super nice guy. Didn't push me super hard. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden I had this new art teacher, and I'm like, this guy is what is his problem? Grangs thought I was awesome. What's Clerks' problem? And long story short, he basically, I remember him hitting me on the back of the head and going, yeah, you're going to school. And I went, okay, just don't hit me again, okay? Yeah. And he totally got me into Minneapolis College of Art and Design, MCAD. Because I didn't even take the SAT, I didn't take the ACT. He got me in. Looking back, knowing what I know now. Mm-hmm. Did 2 years there as a graphic design major, and quickly realized I don't like this at all. And I remember raising my hand in one class saying, I want to make a mess. And like, oh, you should go be fine arts major. So I switched my major to that. And then, I was that for a bit and going, fine arts major. Oh yeah, they starve. So I went back and visited with clerks, the art teacher that had pushed me, saying, I think I want to teach. Even though, both my parents were teachers, I never felt pressured to. In fact, they were quite removed from the whole process. I didn't go to them. I went to Greg's, and he's like, well, let's go look at River Falls. So he drove me there. And then I enrolled there and informed everybody that I'm switching, and then got art ed there. So it really wasn't originally on my, it was a long and meandering path, but it was a lot of fun too. Mm-hmm. I don't regret any of it.
So any students watching this right now, it's okay not to know yet.
Oh gosh, please don't know.
Yes.
Don't set that concrete. Have your plans set in Jell-O, for sure.
Right. I like that. I haven't heard that before, and I'll take that. I'll use that in the future. I'll reference, Put it set in Jell-O. So art ed, we talked a little bit about your medium. You teach
ceramics. Mostly.
So,
a little bit of everything there, but mostly ceramics. And I feel really blessed to do that, because in college that became a great love of mine. There's just so much you can do with it. And there was, when I came here, and Mrs. Tampty was the only other art teacher, there wasn't a ceramics department. She had, I think, two, and this is not to put down her, it's just what she had at the time. There was 2 wheels in this back room and 1 kiln. And she kind of did that. That was her thing. And I was like, okay, I just kind of bought my time and I went into that and eventually developed the Ceramics 1, Ceramics 2, Ceramics 3 class. It got so big when Dr. Miller was still there.
Yep.
When we did the additions, he goes, you need more space. I go, yeah, and I need a real ceramics room, not this art room pretending to be a clay, because they're different needs. So we designed that. Got 5 kilns, 27 wheels. It's better than a lot of college ceramics departments. So
it sounds like a fun procedure when all of a sudden funds are now there to say, let's design this out. Were you a part of that designing
I did.
aspect of it?
Dr. Miller basically said, here's how many square feet you get, you design it. Nice. So I got to take the architect to Wyzetta, where they pump in their own golden sunlight, they have like 6 art teachers. It's, of course. And they had 2 ceramics teachers, and we went there and I said, oh, I like that. Let's design something like that. And we just
very cool.
Pulled things that would work really well. So that was not my forte, but it was fun. It was fun to design a dream studio.
Yeah. That's great. So, I wasn't in art, but I did marry an art.
You did. I remember your wife was a very talented artist.
I'm going to tell a little bit of a story. She made these all of her pottery, and it was down in the basement when she was growing up. And then there was a donation pile, and then her art pile. And we give her brother so much crap about it, and he feels really bad. He donated all of her pottery, and I was like, "Where is it?" He felt so bad, and I'm like, "Oh man!" So as an artist, she was really bummed out.
I was going to say, how did she deal with that?
Well, we're still talking about it. It's like 20 years ago. So, oh, sorry, Jenny. It's 15 years ago or so. But that was just kind of an unfortunate thing. She was so proud of it. I never got to see it, obviously. But I hope whoever's enjoying it.
She was a fantastic artist.
Yeah. So, well, thank you. So even people or kids, I should say, that weren't in art, you're kind of an icon teacher in the Buffalo School District. Everybody
is he
knows.
Day drinking again?
Oh, yeah.
well, I would
without question. I think.
Thank you.
Somebody would say, "Yeah, do you remember Holtz?" And I don't think I've ever heard somebody say Mr. Holtz. It's always I've heard Ben referred to as Holtz.
Yeah,
and you're like, "Oh yeah, that's the long-haired guy." He's like, "Oh yeah," you're saying. You don't blend in there,
not really.
But you kind of make that positive impact on all of the students, and which kind of leads me to one of the questions is, do you have just one pinnacle of, this is what teaching is all about? Mm-hmm. That hey, this is the moment, or maybe a few examples of that, something that really sticks in your mind.
No, that's a great question. There have been, and I'll segue into it. Early in my career, and I think a lot of teachers do this, I don't think it's unique to me, I started to keep thank you notes, cards, letters, whatever, and I kept a little file folder. When you get old and gray, you need a box because you're not that awesome. You've just been doing it a long time, so there's more. And I keep it because there's days you feel like a crap teacher, and then you go and revisit that, and you read some and you realize, oh, okay, nope, they said otherwise.
Right.
And that's the proof is in the pudding. Don't take my opinion.
Yeah.
Talk to kids who have had me, whether I've coached them, taught them, ceramics, whatever. Ask them.
Yeah.
So a couple examples. I had one. I've had a couple kids, and when my kids were little, I would always use the term happy tears. I've had kids give me happy tears. I had a young lady in class, and if she sees this, she'll know, and it's okay. She was amazing. I think she gives me way more credit than I deserve because I look at her and just like, dang, the world needs more of you in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she knew my affection for the movie Up. I think that's Pixar's masterpiece of storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your first 10 minutes, you're like,
Oh my
crap,
gosh.
where are we going with this?
Yeah, exactly.
Great storytelling. Anyway, she knew I really dug it, and she made me an Ellie badge.
Oh, very nice.
A great thing with a magnet on it, and wrote, Mr. Holtz for going above and beyond what Russell gets. That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And then there's just been individual times where, and this is one thing I worry about us having to wear a mask now. I'm pretty good at reading people, and that kid needs something right now, and I worry about that. Anyway, I've always kind of prided myself in read, and anyway, sometimes just you let the class they're working, they're doing their thing, and this kid needs something, so you go in the hallway and you sit on the floor because that's where they're at. They're having a meltdown or something, and it was just a couple years ago, pre-knee replacement. So they were not good, and that's kids. We talked, and saw me get up and like, wow, that hurt. And later they kind of commented like, that was pretty cool that you were still willing to come sit on the floor. And so just little moments like that.
Sure.
So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
I think it does. Little things can make that big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just those moments. It's. I think that's why almost all of us went into teaching. It's not, they really learned about clay today. Yes, that we want that, but
it's so much more.
Yeah,
than that.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what my thought was it's great to see a kid's skills improve.
Yep.
To go from never thrown on a wheel before to now they're going to college to do it or want to teach it. But I would imagine the most rewarding stuff comes outside of that and speaks to some of the stuff you're talking about right there.
Not that we want to pound on this next subject because it's the year of 2020. Who the heck knows? I mean, those little moments of we're coming into a school year of you have to adapt.
Yeah.
And how has that been as a teacher? How do you see it going in the future? Just you don't have to dig deep too far, but it's going to be a challenge.
Absolutely. Distance learning, when we did that, March 13th was our last day of school. That was Friday the 13th. I remember that because I went camping that weekend. And so that term, we were just flying by the seat of our pants. We all did the best we could. Students, admin, teachers, we just did the best we could with the situation at hand. Going into it now, we all got a little experience. I think we should have a different set of expectations for everyone involved. So I don't know. I think the most powerful thing people can say right now is, I don't know. Everyone, there's so much, whether it's politically or not, saying, man, just say, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just come into it. And like you said, the theme of life has been adapt, do your best. Adapt, do your best.
Yeah.
And truly do your best, not
make an excuse.
Don't
for
phone it in on any end.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm very happy. I miss people. I miss people. I didn't get into this profession to send emails and do phone calls and check in.
Yeah.
Although that's part of it.
Right.
I miss standing in front of human beings. So that's going to be good. It's going to be weird to have half the, and we won't get through as much content as much as we were saying content isn't as important. It's still, every parent wants their kid to, you guys are parents,
It is important. I mean,
but we'll get through less.
Yeah.
We'll get through
Right.
less, obviously.
Just the fact of the matter.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. I miss my coworkers.
Yeah. I think it's a good answer as any is. I don't know.
I work with some amazing people.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna be good to see them.
Who's your favorite?
Coworkers? Oh, jeez.
You don't have to answer that.
My hallway, those guys are pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'm in the tech ed hallway,
Yeah.
and those guys we all lean on each other a lot.
Sure.
We do. For
That's
sure.
really fun. I always like those awkward joke questions like that. Like, I think it was a previous episode, Mark asked, which one's your favorite kid?
yeah.
Anyway.
So, who knows what the school year is going to bring? But,
I mean, everything's changing daily.
Yeah.
So who knows if we'll make it the whole year in person.
Yeah, and there's going to be people who hate everything about it, and they'll let everybody know. And there's going to be people who are, pretty excited to have their kids going to school. And there's going to be people who can't believe their kids have to wear a mask. And there's going to be people who can't believe that there's going to be maybe the possibility that a kid might, I don't know, it just.
If only there was a medium to voice your opinion, right? Social media, right? Oh gosh, if there's anything that we could ever get rid of is social media, I would love that. Well, I depend on a lot of it for my job, but
anybody who knows you, who does follow you on social media, you have a lot of interests, and so we touched on camping as a passion of yours. I know specifically you wanted to get into some of your traveling and things of that nature. And, I know you ride bike, but why don't you personally?
The travel bug, so many of young people today get to travel. It just, obviously, besides 2020, it became a very easy thing to do, semester at sea or whatever they've got. I didn't do a lot at that age. In fact, it wasn't until 2001. And I answered an ad in a teacher when we actually got paper handouts on. It was just, hey, are you looking for adventure? Come teach English in China. Yeah. And I went, hey, I'm totally unqualified to do that. Let's go. Sounds, And it wasn't like.
That sounds gooder time.
It wasn't like, Joel Squadroni teaching English because I am, leaps and bounds not qualified for that. But it was teaching conversational English. Okay. If you, basically the do you speak English? Most of the time, okay, you're qualified because you're not getting paid and it's going to be tough conditions. I'll go. Like, so everything we taught we had to bring with. It was through Concordia Moorhead. They got their language camps up north, and they wanted to do something internationally. Sure. So this was like the third year they had done it, and so I had there was a couple in Plymouth that had done it the couple years before, and they were going to be the deans. So they had this smooth, ironed everything out by the time I went. So that's how I met my wife in 2001. We taught together because every English teacher got paired up with a Chinese teacher that knew what they were doing.
Sure.
And it was interesting. The night we met, July 18th, 2001, yes, I wrote in my journal, I said, I think I'm going to marry this woman. True story.
Nice.
But the people when we got introduced, like they would say, so and so from America teaching with so and so, and they would just shake hands. When we went up, like the whole audience just like giggled, like like the sixth graders giggling at like ooh, like they kind of knew. Like I don't know, was maybe my tongue was hanging out and I didn't know it. I don't think so. I think I was polite.
Yeah.
But they must have known something. But so that really started. I was like, I like going to places where I'm the alien, where I don't fit in, or I don't know. so that, just started this love affair with throwing a dart at the map or finding a good deal and just going to really weird. Actually, that's kind of an insult, but yeah, maybe not the typical spots.
Sure.
Like I think my next trip was down the Amazon in Brazil. That was pretty amazing. Jumping in the water and
my gosh,
fishing for piranha, watching a condom being made from the local rubber harvester. That was right. That's unique.
Yeah.
Because at first the guy was like, "Well, this guy's the local condom maker." I'm like, "Yeah, right. You tell that."
Nice joke.
I'm like, "He goes, no, you want to see him make one?" I said, "I would love that.
Yeah.
That would be cool." So, and then a couple other interesting. Cuba was really interesting. Some ways what you expect, in a lot of ways not what you. Everyone said to me the food was amazing. I always put on weight when I travel, just because the Middle East. I went to right before my first knee surgery in 2017, Israel and Jordan. Amazing food. Oh, the Sabras hummus here. That's not hummus. Once you, it's like, oh my gosh, the food was just amazing. And I'd always wanted to see the city of Petra, obviously from the Indiana Jones movie. Walking through there, it's just you just have brains leaking out your ears. It's so humbling to walk amongst that history.
How was it? I mean, as an American, like traveling to somewhere in the Middle East, I mean, I anticipate it's not as. Did you feel safe going there?
Yes, 100%. With that said, you travel with your awareness.
Yeah. Sure.
Travel with your head on a pivot.
Yep.
I'm not naive, but I don't think I've ever felt not safe in any. There's a few Tanzania. There's a few cities.
Sure.
Don't go for a walk at night.
Yeah.
Again,
Be smart about
common
it.
sense.
Don't go for a walk downtown Minneapolis at night.
Right. I was just going to say, there's plenty of cities in America. Even 10 years ago, I wouldn't have gone for a walk.
Yeah.
I've always felt safe. Middle East, but in the same breath, I know, because I went from Israel to Jordan, and then the day I was in Jordan, turned on some news, and there I went to YouTube and found the clip. I was standing at the blue mosque.
Yep.
And it's a very it's an intense part of the world for obvious reasons. All the three major religions are right there. Anyway, right where I was standing, some Palestinian soldiers had snuck guns in and killed some Israeli soldiers. And I watched it on YouTube. It's like, wow, okay, I was there 4 days ago. That's interesting. So, did I feel safe? Yeah.
Were you?
Maybe.
Maybe it's some. But I'm just. And I get that a lot. Well, what if? And I refuse to live life by what ifs.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be foolish. Like you said, I've got 2 kids and a wife that I have obligations to keep breathing. They would appreciate that. But in the same breath, I think it's a good message to send to my kids too. Don't live in fear. And when you travel, you don't come home the same. Right? You just can't.
You travel with the whole family then?
No, usually just myself. My wife's amazingly understanding.
Wow.
In fact, like when she got here, we got married in 2002 in China. And then it's like you hurry up and wait with immigration to get her visa.
Sure.
So with nothing coming, I had this trip, the Brazil trip booked. And then as soon as I booked it, we got, her visa. So and for both China and Brazil, you have to get a visa. So I'm mailing off my passport to get these stamps in there. Go to China, pick her up, and I think it was about 2 weeks later, I left for 2 weeks to Brazil. And she hung out with my parents, and she's pretty awesome like that.
Sweet honeymoon, I guess, right?
We took our honeymoon in China.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
That was very fun.
She would call it a honey day because it was kind of short. But.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you tend to find that you get inspiration to travel from certain sources, like whether it's travel TV shows, travel magazines, internet research? What inspires you?
A lot of it's the photographers I follow. I like to do a lot of photography. So Art Wolf used to have a travel photography show. David Duchemin, Nevada Weir, they've been huge, influencing how I make photographs and where I want to go to. So yeah, that's probably been my biggest source. And just, yeah, just looking at the map and going, wow, that's a cool place to go to. I really want to get to Madagascar, again, just because it's so different. Not a real stable area. They've got their problems. But so many things in Madagascar are just, it only happens there.
Right.
So I'd love to get there. I'd love to do Antarctica.
Is there any place you wouldn't travel?
Probably North Korea.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
And if I follow Henry Rollins, and Rollins described it. He worked and he actually got a trip there. So I wouldn't go there for some obvious reasons of like, oh, you looked at this wrong.
You're done.
But he also describes it as just inordinately inane, just mundane, because you have a minder with you. You only see what they want you to, he goes,
Yeah.
I remember seeing him doing his spoken word, and he's like, you ever have one of those days where it's just it was a lot of monotony?
Sure.
I think you do a trip like that to
I've been there.
to check it off. And I don't do check off trips. I want to
Sure.
I would love to go to Iran. In fact, I was working with. I can't say I was working with. I had contacted Nevada Weir. She's a National Geographic photographer who takes small groups, like groups of 8, with her. And I know she was doing this one trip to Iran. And well, let me back. There was a guy that I met on our Cuba trip. It was mostly photographers. Doug, he's based out of Seattle. And I had just we email like once a year. Hey, how you doing? And he had mentioned, I went to Iran and the people were amazing. You thought the Cubans were friendly. These Iranians just love you, and you got to go. And if you want, you can go with Nevada. So I reached out, and she's like, well, I don't really take people I don't know, but Doug vouched for you. So
Wow.
it was in discussion, and then
COVID.
the world turned upside down. So who knows? I would go in a heartbeat. And I don't say that with any hubris. I don't say that. I don't think I have anything special.
Sure.
But yeah.
That's interesting as all heck. I mean, like, it's just not what you hear of destination travel.
Right.
But yeah, that's pretty cool.
And what people need to remember too is mostly our policymakers and their policymakers that aren't necessarily. But a lot of these places, they dig the people.
Sure.
And I know a few people that have gone and have had one, and the food too, amazing. I keep going back to food.
Kind of a foodie.
I'm not. I don't think I am, because I don't really know anything about it. I just like to eat it. Former wrestler.
Yep.
We
Cheers to that.
We love our food. So yeah, I hope the world can be normal again, and because I think travel is good for people. I don't want to just know my own backyard.
Right.
I think it's good for people.
Yeah.
Check out Somebody Feed Phil on Netflix.
Say that again.
Somebody Feed Phil.
Somebody feed Phil.
It's on Netflix.
FILL or PHIL?
PHIL. It's a travel food.
Okay.
There's a lot of non-traditional.
Like an Anthony Bourdain kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Somebody feed.
Very much so. Yep.
Cool.
So, prior to recording, we said, "Hey, anything you want to talk about?" And you said, "I want to talk about travel."
Yep.
And I want to talk about cancer.
Yeah.
So
Two
I think
great topics.
Yeah, we've hit on travel. So let's go to cancer.
Sure.
I don't know how
to
maybe
transition
I
into
should know,
that.
but I don't know where you're going to go with this. So I'll just let you take it away.
2005. Well, actually, let me backtrack to the fall of 2004. I found a lump in my testicle, and I knew it was something. But with typical man, the world can't rotate if I don't do X, Y, Z. You guys, gymnastics season was coming up, and I didn't want to interrupt season. I just didn't. It was stupid. But anyway, I ignored it, got through season. So April comes around, and I go in, and the doc's like, yeah.
That was the official diagnosis.
Yeah, I'm not sure the spelling of that. But
Yeah.
So the process was, yes, it's something. So we did surgery, and then you wait on pins and needles for 4 days, like to get they're supposed. I can't remember. It was a Monday. They were supposed. I had surgery on Thursday. They're supposed to call Monday, and so I'm waiting at school. Come on, no call. So I call them. Hey, this is Jon Holtz. I'm calling, and the nurse is like, "Oh, well, everything looks great," and I'm like, "Sweet." So I go home, and you go through your these things are called an address book, a phone book, and he actually had to dial. And
I'll look that up later.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
Crazy cool antique. And I should have had a cell phone by then, but I didn't. So I'm just using my landline, calling everybody with the good news. Next day or 2 days later, I go in with my surgeon, and I thought it was just going to be, hey, how you doing, John? Healing up okay, have a nice life.
Yeah.
And his first words were, well, we should get you up to Coburn Cancer Center on Monday. And I'm like, well, that's for people with, cancer. And I won't say his name. He no longer works here, so I'll let him have his piece. But all he could say was, well, the nurse must not know what seminoma means. And I'm like, isn't that kind of her job? Isn't that like a key part of her job? Anyway, so yeah, it was there. I got off easy, 30 days of radiation, no chemo. So my typical day was I would go teach first and second block. I had third hour prep. I would drive up to Coburn Cancer Center, lay on a table, get nuked, and come home. And radiation is cumulative.
Sure.
The first day, you're like, I'm a stud. This is and then I remember like day 6 or 7, I stopped at a Leanne Chin's, and I can't eat Leanne Chin's anymore. No offense to Leanne Chin's, but I stopped and I realized
it's building up.
Yeah, and I've never been pregnant, but I kind of equate it with that in the diet, like in certain smells just get you really irpy. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, dude, So, and you get tired real easy, but I can't say it was a really hard road compared to some of the people I saw there every time I went in.
Sure.
It's like, dang, like I said, I think I got off pretty light. But that C word, it's a scary word. So anyway, yeah, when the doctor said that was during my prep. I had to go back to school. Again, Dr. Miller was principal, and I walked in, and I had to cut to get to my room. I had to cut through the cafeteria. There's 400 kids in there, and then I make eye contact with Dr. Miller, and I'm like, oh, don't lose it. And I was about ready to lose crying, and all I said was, Nick, they screwed up, and he knew what I meant right away. So that was probably actually the hardest thing, just to think you're in the clear, and then you're not. And it's interesting. I get a lot of if I ever talk about it, and I have no problem talking about it, but, like, oh, did it teach you, because I always tell people this too. If I could go back in time and change the fact and like not have it, I wouldn't, because I did get some gifts from it, and it's not what people think. They think it's like, kind of like, the Tim McGraw song, and skydiving, whatever that song is about.
Live like you were dying.
Yeah, and it really wasn't that, because I've always been wired really weird. I've been kind of wired like Ted Nugent, not his political beliefs, but in the fact that wake up and go.
Yeah.
I always think back to, if you guys know who Gary Vaynerchuk is.
Yeah.
I love Gary V. He talks about your odds of becoming human are 400 trillion to 1.
Yeah.
Try and wrap your head around that for a second. Mm-hmm. Your odds of you becoming you are 400 trillion to 1. So we should all be waking up, springing out of bed like Nugent, because the guy's got energy. That's what I'm getting at. And again, don't crucify. You like Ted Nugent's political views. Don't go there. But, let's go.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for? I've always been kind of wired that way. People ask, are you a night owl or a morning person? And unfortunately, I'm kind of both.
I'm tired now.
I sometimes, but so it taught me that a little bit, but mostly One of my biggest takeaways from it was I learned how to say no. And that's a wonderful thing. You know, teachers especially, we fall hook, line, and sinker for one line. Come on, do it for the kids. And we fall for it. Not that falling for it's, you know, it helps kids, but if I say no to a few things at BHS, guess what? The world is still rotating. The sun is still coming up. It'll be okay. It wasn't the sole reason I stepped. It was about 5 or 6 more years later, I stepped down from coaching. So it wasn't directly, but I just learned how to say no to a few things.
Sure.
I was always that martyr who, sure, do you want to, pick apples in Albania on Thursday and be back Friday night to chaperone the homecoming dance? Sure.
Yeah.
That sounds insane.
Right.
Yeah. And if you're not careful, Holtz will do it. Nobody else will step up because Holtz will do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that can happen a lot. There's teachers that get pegged for that.
Yeah.
So I and that's weird to people that I wouldn't change the fact that I had it. But there were a few gifts that definitely came from it. Definitely.
Yeah. I think I heard once that if the answer is not hell yes, then you should say no.
I like that.
That's like Gary Vee right there.
And that might be where I heard it, but it's just like, if it's not an enthusiastic yes.
I'm getting more and more. The older I get, definitely.
Yeah.
You learn how to say no to certain things. Yeah.
So with that, I mean, do you give anybody advice of don't ignore it or
listen to your body. You know, I knew back in September there was no doubt in my mind back in September, but I was just being a guy. And the world won't rotate if I don't do this. And yes, it will. It'll rotate just fine. You know, there's the old analogy too. You got the cup of water. While you're there, your finger can make waves, but you take it away, it flattens out just fine without you there.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's well, let's kind of maybe transfer into just a little bit more lighter material. Thank you for bringing us into your personal life quite a bit there. We like these speed round questions. Answer them as fast or as slow as you want. Bounce them back to us too. Mine's kind of a 2-part question.
Okay.
Have you met anybody famous, or who's the most famous person you've ever met?
I've met all my heroes. I know that sounds really.
You're not supposed to do that.
You should. You should. It's freaking awesome. No, Neil Young is my musical hero. I think I've met him 3 times now.
Oh, nice.
Not like, hey, Neil. It's quick, it's brief. Art Wolf, my photographer idol, I've met him. I've met Henry Rollins several times outside of his bus, because he would do these spoken word. He goes, I'll just be out there. And what was really cool is like one year, took the picture together, and then I don't know when, but the next time, bring that photo, have him sign it.
Oh,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I met Ozzy way back in the 80s when 104 was a heavy metal station, and he was doing a promotional tour for the Tribute album, which is the only live recordings of Randy Rhoads. And we knew, like, okay, Ozzy's going to be on the radio, so we just got to find out where this radio station is. And it was out in Eden Prairie, I think, or something. So we just drove out there, and he's really short. He doesn't like to be around people. So it was brief, but got an autographed CD from it.
Very cool.
I've met Ace Frehley from Kiss. Yeah.
Nice.
That was probably more than you wanted there.
No, I like it. That's a great list. My next question is more Buffalo-centric. Who's the most famous person from Buffalo? Or who do you think?
Wow. Well, Bach has to be up there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's hung out with senators. I was the state checkers champion.
He's kind of like that Forrest Gump of like he could like weasel his way into somewhere. It's just like nobody questions
it.
He
could. He would just, so we should check photos of history. Bach might just be, Bach's a legend, and he just keeps going and going. God, who else? I don't know if anyone can.
I think that's a good answer.
Yeah. Squad. You got to give Squad props.
Yeah.
I always said, when I worked with them, what was the game show? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like, Squad should be your lifeline because he's just super intelligent. And one thing about Squad. Here's just Squad's character. I remember early in my teaching career, it was a Saturday. I came in to fire the kilns, and he is just schlepping cases of pop into the where do they sell concession? The concession stand. Lost for words there. Concession stand. And his kids were out of school by then, but that's just the character of Squad. He's just a job needed to be done, and he's not above it. And anyway, that's my little plug for Squad because Squad's awesome. Sorry.
Very cool.
Totally agree. So we've talked about all the different places you've traveled around the world, but maybe somebody listening is looking for some ideas on where's the most beautiful place near where you live, which is in Buffalo. Most beautiful place near where you and I and Tyler live.
So I'll at least stay in Minnesota. Jay Cook State Park. I love the state park system. We have one of them. I think people should take advantage. But Jay Cook has a special place in my heart. The suspension bridge there, and there's just great hikes. But closer to home, Stanley Eddy County Park. Not many people know about it, near Annandale. So just a little southwest of here. Some beautiful hikes. You can get in there. Not many people. I found
Mark's looking for a camping spot here, so
nationwide Glacier. Glacier is one of my favorite places. It's just stunningly beautiful. Glacier National Park.
That's Montana.
Montana, yeah.
My dream vacation is like, I used to say 2 week, but I really don't think I could do it in 2 weeks. Like a 3 to 4 week RV, go across South Dakota to the Badlands to Mount Rushmore, out to Wyoming, Montana, everything, come down through Denver. That is like my dream vacation.
Make it happen.
But I think it's got to be like when the kids are just a little bit older so they can remember it.
Yeah.
But I'm so planning on that, and I'm so looking forward to it, and I'm hitting those places. So really looking forward to that.
I have one.
Yeah.
I have a question, and so I've sometimes I hesitate to ask because the answer might be really, really boring, but you also might get an interesting answer. But what do you bring with you everywhere you go?
Not much. That's my answer. Boy Scouts trained me that way. Travel light, because you got to carry it. Travel light.
Mm-hmm.
So my answer would be not much.
Wallet, cell phone.
Just like Adam Sandler's on a cell phone, wallet, keys. Yeah. That's all I ever need.
Nice. See, that's why I kind of hesitate to ask, because maybe that's the most boring answer you're going to give all day.
Could.
Because you are not. This has been a great interview, and I almost didn't ask because somebody asked me, I would say, well, I bring my phone and my wallet, and
travel light.
Yeah,
I do remember the question I was going to ask because it's not written down. On a car ride, what are you listening to?
I have a Sirius XM subscription. It mostly stays on channel 38, 39, 40, 41. That's Ozzy's Boneyard, Hair Nation, Liquid Metal, and Octane.
Perfect.
Occasionally go down to the Dave Matthews channel on channel 30, Tom Petty 31.
You stick in those 30s.
Yeah, mostly the hair, heavy. Yeah,
I like that.
In fact, I thought you guys on the way over heard "Hungry for Heaven." You guys know the relevance of "Hungry for Heaven," right? By Ronnie James Dio. Why would I bring that? Okay, so there's lightning round for you guys. Yeah. Why would I bring up Ronnie James Dio's "Hungry for Heaven" with the three of us?
Wrestling, Vision Quest.
Yes, it was in the soundtrack.
I was going to say Lunatic Fringe, but
take the prize off the top shelf. It was in the soundtrack to Vision Quest.
Yep, Loudon Swain. He's going for it.
Those boys were not in the same weight category.
No, not even close.
There's so much wrong with that movie, and it's still so good.
But it is. It's a staple for high school wrestlers.
I love it. Yep.
Go for it.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Travel light.
I don't know. I don't think advice is usually. I don't give it a whole lot. And that sounds weird coming from a teacher.
Yeah.
Because most times it's
it is a little bit. Unsolicited.
Yeah, most of the times it's not asked for, so it's not going to be usually well received. I think, I don't know if it's just one nugget, but I'm the youngest of 5. And I have a brother that's 10 years older than me, exactly 10 years older. And he was always the big brother that let me hang out, maybe when I probably shouldn't have.
Very cool.
But I look up to him a great deal, and I know I've just garnished so much knowledge from him on life, relationships. Just he runs his own business, so he has to be good at those and he is. He's just a great businessman. He's just great at connecting with people, and I've learned a lot from him. Lots.
Very good.
Yeah.
Is he local?
Nope, he's up in Ham Lake, Holtz Landscape.
Okay.
Yep.
Ham Lake. I can't not say that every time I hear Ham Lake.
Give it the homer.
Yeah.
Maybe something people didn't know is you've also at least dabbled in some stand-up comedy.
That is true.
I don't know if it's anything you've done recently, but I know at one point in my high school career you performed
You were there.
in a assembly, I guess, of
Which one? When we went into the new school?
in the new school.
Yeah. So, talk about pressure, okay? So here, be funny for high school kids, a whole school, close to what do we have back then, maybe 1,600.
Keep it clean.
There's teachers, school board members, and a U.S. senator. Yeah, no pressure there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So who is your favorite entertainer?
Comedian?
Musician, comedian?
Oh, geez, you would have to narrow it. You can't go that big.
Okay, comedian. Who's your favorite comedian?
Joe Coy is hilarious. Oh my gosh, he talks about his Filipino background, and he impersonates his mom. Bert Kreischer, if you've never seen
Bert's great.
the
Russian?
yeah,
That's
I am the machine. Bert is hilarious. Joe, I mean, you'll just have tears rocketing out of your face. They're so
Coy.
funny.
Musician?
Like I said, Neil Young is my all-time favorite. I think he's just an amazing songwriter. I know his voice is an acquired taste. I get it, but I think I've seen him in concert close to 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
Neil Young, Henry Rollins. Rollins just for his work ethic. The guy will do anything. He's a singer. Was a singer in the Rollins band. Sang for Black Flag, seminal punk band in the 80s. Then does spoken word, writes books. He's been in movies. So I just love his work ethic. He's intense, as he put it once. He goes, "I land on things hard." I like that. So yeah.
And are you a film guy? Do you got a favorite actor? Or?
De Niro. Some of the Pacino and De Niro. You can't go wrong. De Niro's so versatile. You go everything from Awakenings
To Meet the Fockers.
to his intense.
whoa, family friendly here.
Yeah.
Like that. A little Neil Young story. My son Charlie absolutely loves Old Man. We're out in the fish house and it comes on, and they built a little fort, and he kind of peeks out, and he just gets into it just deep, and he'll sing the whole thing. He's 6,
That's awesome.
and I'm just like, that's really cool. So anyway, I'm a fan as well.
Yeah. Oh, and Kiss. Kiss has been a staple throughout my whole life.
Very fun. Well, any as we're winding down here, any parting things that you want to tell the community of Buffalo?
Pick up your trash. Good Lord. I like you said, I bike. Sorry, that was not what you expected to hear.
Yeah.
I bike a lot. Man, people are piggy. Yeah. And now we got the face masks just laying on the ground, and who wants to touch that?
I love it. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Pick up your trash.
I will second that.
There we go.
That wasn't awkward. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
Learned a lot. I really enjoyed this conversation. And for the Buffalo Community Podcast, I'm Tyler Reiss.
I'm Mark Benzer.
Jon Holtz.
I like that. The first first few we were kind of like,